Definitely a real G sharp right there. Wait, does G have a sharp? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Hello, and welcome to the Never Heard of It podcast. I'm Craig Moorhead, and over there is someone else.
That someone is me, Sean Harwell, and I am over here, and I'm happy to be here today as we talk in very staccato tones about a whole lot of news today in one of our mini episodes. This is 46.5, if you didn't read that on the thing that you pressed to listen to this. And we are happy to have you, aren't we, Craig?
So happy to have you. Thank you. Please bring friends next time.
Sure.
If you want to find other episodes, you can find us on iTunes. Find those on iTunes. You can find them in Stitcher. Find us online at neverheardpodcast.com. We're on Twitter at neverpodcast, Instagram, Facebooks. You can find us. Come find us and tell us if you listened to something and how unenjoyable it was.
Yeah, you can also tell us what we should watch, just like Mary Ratliff did. And then, well, you know,
that's right.
10, 15 episodes later, boom, she's on the podcast herself. And
right.
yeah, if you listen to that last episode, we talk with filmmaker, podcaster Mary Ratliff about the Korean film Attack the Gas Station, which I've been thinking about that movie a lot since we watched that. I got to say, like it pops up, little bits and pieces of it pop up in my mind, in the muck of my subconscious.
Generally, when you're just like stopping at a gas station, you think, what if it happened right now?
Yeah, when I'm at a gas station, yes, but also when I'm not at a gas station. Just, you know, that's one I would like to watch again sometime. And hopefully I can do so if anyone listened to our podcast that owns a streaming company and wants to make it readily available. No pressure, listeners who own streaming companies. But, you know, hey.
Yeah. So, Sean.
Yes, Craig.
You wrote me an email earlier today.
I did.
And the first item in your email was that Jordan Peele is making an HBO show.
Yeah, how excited did you get when I sent that?
I'm pretty excited. Not only that, I already knew that it was going to be somewhat Lovecraftian.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I knew he's going to stay in the horror realm.
Yep.
So super excited, but you got the deets.
The deets are, and I'm sure this is everywhere by now, but I saw it on Deadline. Yeah, he's headed to HBO. It looks like, I don't know if he's going to be directing the whole series or not, but at least he will be involved creatively significantly. Along with J.J. Abrams, at least his company Bad Robot is behind this as well. It's an adaptation of a book called Lovecraft Country, and that's a 2016 novel from Matt Ruff. It sounds pretty interesting. It sounds like there's definitely some horror travel going on in specifically 1950s Jim Crow America. I can only assume that will mean it's taking place in the South.
Did you say horror travel?
Yeah, there's a road trip mentioned.
I see.
In the details there. I just thought that would be a new subgenre, horror travel.
Sure.
Travel's kind of horrific sometimes anyway, right? Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and they are throwing around the anthology tag on this, so who knows if and what a season 2 might look like. But it seems like the book has a lot of positive heat behind it. And Misha Green is going to be the showrunner, and it looks like she's a writer from a TV show called Underground, which I think is on WGN, or one of the 8 million channels now at our disposal. Craig, I still have not seen Get Out. I think it is coming out on video next week, I believe, or the week that this drops. Mm-hmm. And, it's at the very top of my list of things to see soon. Now, let me ask you this.
Please.
As someone who has seen Get Out, do you see the sensibilities of Jordan Peele as a director and what you know of J.J. Abrams just as J.J. Abrams meshing? Is that an interesting creative relationship to you?
You know, no. Well, I mean, I can't say no, but like when I read the story, yeah, I wasn't thinking necessarily at all about their own sort of voices melding. Like I was hoping that Bad Robot would just be like, oh, he's good. Let's give him money to do things. Because I don't think it would be a particularly good mix. I don't feel there's a lot of Abrams in the Peele, and there's not a lot of Peele in the Abrams. So I don't know. Spielberg does something and puts Abrams in charge of it or something, and it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. From the article, it looks as if Jordan Peele bought the rights to the book and took it to Bad Robot himself. So,
Right on.
yeah, maybe he knows something that we don't, but also, obviously, they're a powerhouse in TV. So when you're looking at companies that can get things made, you don't got to look a whole lot further than that.
No.
Let's do our weekly nostalgia question.
Yes.
Roseanne is coming back. ABC. It's happening. There's a cast photo out. They did the big upfronts that they do every year with the networks and everything, and they talk about their upcoming shows and have the cast there. And yeah, there they are sitting on a stage. Everybody but Darlene.
Yeah.
They all look like they've aged pretty darn well. And
Sure.
I loved Roseanne, man. That was a staple of my my young life of TV watching and our 4 or 5 channels that we had at the time. I don't know how I feel about it coming back. What do you think?
I don't either. And the main thing was, I saw this news a little bit ago, and when I saw it, I was like, oh man, I want to look at some clips of Roseanne. I went back and watched some stuff, and of course, the earlier stuff is great, and there really wasn't a sitcom like it when it first started, and there certainly wasn't one as funny as it. I mean, who came off of that show? Like Norm Macdonald, I think, was a writer.
Yeah,
they had just a ton of great writers that went through that place. Yeah, but like the last season, do you remember anything about the last season?
You mean when they won the lottery?
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a little bit of it, but I definitely was not watching every week that season.
So the season finale before that season, the very last thing that happens is that Dan has a heart attack.
Oh, that's right.
And they come back with the new season, and they won the lottery, and everything's great. And then it turns out at the end, it was all just a fantasy, or it was something that Roseanne was now a writer or something, and Dan had actually died. I say all that to say this. I found the clip of that revelation happening in the show, and it's Roseanne sitting at a desk looking down at this piece of paper, and her voiceover as she's reading like this stuff that explains everything that just happened. I was just like, that is maybe one of the worst endings of something I've ever seen. Like, I don't know how that show, and I read up on it, and there was some theorizing that like she was super pissed at ABC for one reason or another, and basically just tanked the show in the last season just to piss him off, which seems like something she might do. I mean, that's the one thing is like she's been, I don't know. I'm still interested to see what might come out of that.
You raise a good point just as far as, she's certainly ruffled some feathers in the past few years even, and
sure
has kind of been off the radar to a degree. There's a very good episode of WTF with her and Mark Maron. Mm-hmm. She's an interesting personality, and I do think you're right as far as like at the time. Like imagine someone that looked like Roseanne then getting their own show now. Like, it's hard to even envision that. I'm sure I say this, and of course there's so many new shows. Like there's probably 12 that I don't even know about that have the exact same thing.
Well, yeah. Have you watched any broadcasts lately?
Yeah, no, I haven't.
But it's also kind of good timing considering her family on the show. Mm-hmm. And we're in the dark Trump days. If they can get this show on the air before he's impeached, I don't know. Like I feel like there could be a lot to be said, and I don't know what they might say. Honestly,
yeah,
I don't know which side they might come down on.
Network TV is always like trying to tap into the blue collar thing and do it right, and it's tough. It's tough to find those good representations of that. I think one interesting question is how the hell do you sort of get them to be in the same house together every single episode with a like legitimate motivation there? Because the kids are grown up. Like, there's no reason for them to be hanging out with their parents every episode.
Not necessarily, but at the same time, I'd still buy that they all stayed in the same town.
Sure. Yeah.
If this is kind of the central location where you always end up. The other thing I heard is that they're going to use both Beckys, which is another thing I kind of want to figure out how they're going to do that.
I think that's awesome, though. I mean, they kind of made a joke about it in the original running of it, I think, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which is great.
Yeah, they definitely were a few. Man, that was a good show.
It was. And, honestly, like, if Full House can do it, I don't see any reason why Roseanne can't find an audience again. Well, I was going to talk about movies, but maybe we should get to the Bahubali thing again a little bit, because you found some interesting information,
Yeah.
Many episode before this, we talked about how astonished you and I were, at least, that this movie from India ended up placing third in the box office over the weekend with an astonishing haul at a microscopic number of theaters comparatively. So what'd you dig up on that? Mm-hmm.
So here's the deal. So we did that show. We talked about it. As you said, we were amazed. And one of our fine listeners by the name of Jason Orfanon wrote to me and let me in on the fact that there was this whole kerfluffle about Bahubali 2, wherein, first of all, it's a part of a genre known as Telugu or Telugu. I don't know.
Nailed it.
It's Telugu. Oh, I did, that was it. No, but it's a genre with lots of fans, and when it opened here, the tickets were selling for as high as $42 a piece.
Man.
Yeah. And so there was a lot of anger from the people who wanted to see this movie.
Now, do you know who raised the prices on that? Now, we're talking...
See, that's what I don't understand. I don't know. Like, I kind of wonder, was it a part of just the exhibition agreement and the company said, like, you got to charge this much? Or maybe they were just charging more, so the exhibitionists just had to charge more? I don't know. I haven't been able to figure that out. Like, it seems so odd, and it doesn't seem like there's a lot of details available. Because it seems also that the prices have now dropped, because it sounded like people were going to wait.
And clearly a lot of them did not wait, so yeah.
I mean, it made a ton of money, and it kind of makes me wonder, will studios take note of that and just be like, why are we doing 3D and stuff and charging more for that? We could just say, like, $50 a ticket.
Yeah.
Make a few people mad, but hey, think about the opening weekend.
That has been projected as the future of theatrical experiences by some corners,
Right.
It'll be more event-like. It'll be like going to a concert. You're only going to do it a few times a year, but you're going to pay a lot more. And I hope that's wrong.
Me too.
That's not the case.
But I mean, if you're going to be charging that much, you better hope what happened to the next Pirates of the Caribbean movie doesn't happen to you.
Well, for sure. So, yeah, nice segue, Craig.
Thank you.
It looks like, once again, and this may be old news by the time this drops, but it looks like Disney has been hacked in some capacity by people saying they have a copy of the new Pirates of the Caribbean movie, and they're demanding a ransom, paid in Bitcoin, of course. And, this is the second high-profile one of these that's happened. It happened on the Netflix side with people saying that they had... the new season of Orange is the New Black, and we're going to leak it online, and I think other shows as well, unless Netflix paid X amount of money. And, definitely is saying that Disney and the FBI, are working together, and they're not going to pay this thing. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of details that I think will come out about this, and obviously, like, figuring out this whole kind of strategy, and I don't want to get into piracy and all that kind of stuff. Craig T. Moorhead, if you're running a studio, would you even blink about paying that demand? With a movie like this, you understand why they would target this, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
But I still feel like families are going to go, they're not going to pirate this damn thing at home, if it's online 2 days earlier. I don't know.
Right.
I wonder what the real hard numbers of, if this got leaked, how that would hurt the bottom line for them. So, you, Craig, what are you doing? You saying, yep, here's your money, or no?
In the early 2000s, for a weekend, I was running MGM. Little known fact.
I remember that. And then it tanked, right?
It was a bad weekend. I thought I was making good decisions. It doesn't matter. Here's my thing, just as a person in the world, because when I read that, it's like, okay, so you want me to pay you money, or you won't release this movie. I guess the question is, and this is what I'm reading the thing here, how are they saying they're going to release it? Because unless you're going to hack into like a cable service and just pump it onto people's TVs, it's like, are you telling me that this movie isn't already out there to be pirated? Like, I would assume it's already out there.
Yeah,
like, what are you going to do? So that right there is why I wouldn't pay the ransom. It's just like, no. Like, people are going to go watch this in the theater, whether or not you put it online. That doesn't make any sense. Like, it kind of feels like a weird thing to be, I don't know, getting the FBI on your case for. But you got to get that Bitcoin, man. That's the flip side.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I just feel like I didn't even think about that effect, but I'm, of course, the studios are already expecting these things to get leaked anyway. So.
Yeah, I'd be amazed if it wasn't already. Yeah, it's also just free publicity.
It totally is.
If it became a big enough thing, it's like, oh, great. I don't know if I was any of the people involved with that, I'd be like, this is great.
She kidnapped
hope.
herself, dude. They did it themselves. It's an inside job just to get, because they're already getting bad publicity for this movie, I think. So
It's a hacker goes by the name of Jay Brooks. Wait, what? Weird, huh?
yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens here. But if you're listening and you're doing this, stop it. Just stop it. You're not going to get that Bitcoin. This is not going to happen.
And plus, me and Sean are on your case. We're probably going to find you. It's happened before. So we've come to the end of the podcast, and you wrote me with a list for an article about the 20 best movie endings of the 21st century. What do you think about this?
I mainly wanted to mention it because I'm going to spoil number one. To my surprise, was Phoenix, the movie that we have talked about on this very podcast. The German film from a few years ago. It's out there on Criterion right now. You can find it easily. And you and I both, I think, were pretty well awed by that ending.
Yes.
It's a great ending.
Yes.
I was a little surprised to see that it was number one. I have not seen a ton of these movies.
No.
But, Memento's on there, Dancer in the Dark. I believe Inception is on there. You got your There Will Be Blood and quite a few others. A few I haven't even heard of, like Memories of Murder from 2003. Never heard of that. I think it's a Korean movie.
I have heard of that, and that's one I've been wanting to watch. We should put that on the list.
Let's do it.
But let me ask you this. Are there any movies that you think should have been on this list that aren't?
Oh, man, I was trying to think of that, and I kind of drew a blank. I definitely, if No Country for Old Men had not been on there, for sure, that would have been my pick. It is on there. A little bit lower than I expected it, but again, I'm not that familiar with some of these movies, so I don't have a ready-made answer for you. I wish I did, but what about you? Anything?
The only one that I kind of just wanted to see on there was the ending of The Witch.
Absolutely, I would grant you that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not really a shattering ending or anything, but man, I really liked that.
That's a great one. We will we'll link to that. Yeah, check it out, and maybe we'll hit that Korean movie and take a peek at that sometime in the near future. Craig, next week's episode, it's already in the can. We talked about Time of the Gypsies, the help me out here. Was that 83?
It came out in 88. Came out over here in 1990. Yeah.
Amir Kusturica movie. That is one you gotta check out. It's available for rent at most online places. We had a great suggestion from Tyler Baum. A few suggestions. They all looked really good. They're all on YouTube fantastically. And the one we're going to go with is called Night Tide. This is a 1961 movie that has something to do with mermaids and stars Dennis Hopper. And I think could possibly be a bit of a chiller thriller kind of thing. Creature feature.
Man. I hope so.
So go watch that. I think that'll be a fun hour and 27 minutes, it looks like, to spend. And then we'll talk about it in detail the next time.
That's right. I think we only have 2 or 3 more movies to even watch. So unless somebody starts suggesting some,
we're done.
We're tapped, man. Yeah.
I don't have any last words except for
back up all your projects. It's about to crash.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay. I got to go save. We'll talk next time.
Bye-bye.